seriously. So a true understanding of the middle way philosophy of emptiness can only arise if one can distinguish between negation of intrinsic existence and identity and rejection of existence, per se, says total nothingness. So one has to be able to respond to the criticism of the mind-only school, and at the same time defend the Madhyamaka rejection of intrinsic being without falling into a position of rejecting existing at all. So in Nagarjuna's writings, I think it's the 26th chapter of his Fundamentals on the Middle Way, where he takes great pain. He takes great pain to defend the Madhyamaka rejection of intrinsic existence on the grounds that it is not nihilistic, that there is a difference between total nothingness, rejection of existence, and rejection of intrinsic existence.
다시 추주도 심슬라 다시 하게면도 당한도 심지디 아니 양라든바 고야매버체 세문나로야 샤와체 엔디네 이 차숨 자즈마 송수아
So with that, the
세문나로야 나고 이버디디 아니 뒤에 식신의 신신이 고마야오지 시 아니 야지 나고 맹의 출루 현다 이버즈 지금들 지 샴페글로 아니 소소식다 다지 템베 럽지디야 템베 타는 샴페글로 야고 사세도는 지거리 미세 셜토나 맹의 집에네 다 샴페글로 또 상다는 디르바 독신다.
So with that, the actual teachings on the transforming the mind and the 8 verses on training the mind is complete, and we will now do the generation of the mind for enlightenment. And amongst the members of the audience, those who consider themselves as practicing Buddhists, you should all recite these verses together. And as you do the recitation, you should reflect upon the meanings of the words and try to reinforce and enhance your own development of altruism and compassion that we spoke about over the last few days. And those who are practitioners of other religious traditions, you can use this opportunity to really draw from one's own spiritual teachings and try to commit oneself to the cultivation of altruistic thoughts, and also try to enhance one's commitment to the altruistic ideals. And now we will read these verses together. It's on page 15. We'll read this 3 times. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then, may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then, may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then, may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world.
So, thank you. That's all teaching now finished. So, including myself, we who believe consider as a follower of Buddha, practice as much as we can. And then those follow of other religious tradition, as I mentioned before, please practice one's own religion seriously, sincerely. And then those non-believer, at least try to be a warm-hearted person, sensible person. Because mental attitude, it actually brings one's own sort of happiness. So, as I mentioned before, you should take more taking care of others, actually more benefit for oneself. So, goodbye, thank you, that's all.
A total release and cessation of the afflictions of mind. For example, when Buddhists talk about Buddha Dharma, the real Dharma is the nirvana, that is the cessation of these negative thoughts and emotions.
nyumun kilu tang any nyumun gi pige ta so da za han de she ro ma shi dum de shi ja lo gi na ba de shi ja lo sung gi ya de yini pa ji dum de kong ma zo sha ba de pa ji sa ba yin sa de sha liu yin sa de.
Nagarjuna says in one of his works that nirvana or liberation must be understood in terms of the freedom from afflictions of thought and emotions, and also the karmic actions that they give rise to. The sufferings are caused by our karmic actions, and the karmic actions are in turn motivated by the underlying forces of negative thoughts and emotions, and they in turn are produced by or caused by our projections and imaginings, and which in turn have their roots in a false perception of reality. So this false perception of reality here refers to sort of perceiving things and events as enjoying some kind of objective, real, independent existence.
자, 다한테 되게 한다. 다가다가 사기신한 거 숨버데 처탐저 동시 다음에 봐. 시대 되게 처남지 인로데 동시 다음에 말이지. 아니 말한저 로리아 아니.
And then the Nagarjuna says that it is the insight into emptiness that can really dispel this this fundamental ignorance or a misperception of the world, a misperception of the reality. So this relates to the third axiom, that all phenomena are empty and devoid of self-existence. And what this suggests is that although in our kind of normal perception, we tend to believe things and events and the world to be in some sense kind of permanent, in some sense real, and in some sense enjoying some kind of independent self-existence. But in reality, through analysis, we find that in reality, they lack such self-existence, they lack such independent existence.
자상가 자시로 간다 책 동반 니기 갖고 줄사디 제자자인도산에 봉지 년표강 수자. 와다 라든자인데 동반 니투 갖고 줄시네. 라든자인도산에 주무치 인수 시세 인디 동반 일자네. 심지 취 The
emptiness, the insight in emptiness is what allows us, what enables us to really dispel and eliminate the negative thoughts and emotions, the afflictions, and also their underlying false perceptions. And also one can say that it is within emptiness that all of these pollutants are cleansed. Therefore, the point is that one has to understand, one's understanding of nirvana in the Buddhist sense must be based on some understanding of emptiness.
다양한데 디지털 민족이. 다 나중에 거기 사람들 고도가 다디마 도스 대세계도 대 이메소도 다 있는데 아니 뭐 통화 가야랬을나. 또가 단디 디편부샤도 안디 사제한테 남자 숨베 그돌이야. 아니
when we think along these lines, someone might think, oh yeah, it all sound rational, fairly rational. It all seems to make sense. But what evidence do we have